weekend coming off that. I don't know if Mulch.
Thomas, Schaefer, and Simmer will go for the flashes, and the Buckeyes run out Matty Gallagher, Carson Hartzlaw in the first home duel of the season.
Well, the one nice thing about having all that talent there is that they get a little bit of a break. Their bodies maybe not as beat up, so they can throw either guy in and expect big-time results.
Absolutely, and it's a long season, especially for Ohio State and rest of
the program opportunities.
Brendan McCrone has been very good for the Buckeyes at 125 pounds. He's right in on a shot right away. He's got length, and he used it right there, not trying to scramble through the legs and finish off a takedown. Nothing yet. But, boy, he's got those long arms. He's got cradles from everywhere. He tried it on the near side, then went to the far side quickly. But a good job by Colello to fight that off, at least for now. Colello awkwardly in on the legs.
Well, McCrone is just so long for 125, and that's the thing is guys do get in deep on him, but it doesn't seem like they have the opportunity to finish.
Well, he does not panic. Brendan McCrone knows these positions. He's in them all the time in the room. We talked about Nick Bazakis making the cut down to 125. Not easy for Brendan McCrone either. This is a guy that, we both said it so far, there's a lot of length. He can cover a lot of ground on shots, and I'm sure that's one of the things that he wants to do a better job of this year is getting to his offense and getting finishes against the top level. It's kind of the difference for him. The book is out. Don't go underneath Brendan McCrone because he's going to do damage. So he's going to have to find ways to score on his feet this year. Now it's a shot in quickly and deep on the legs for Colello.
Colello's coming off a great season last year, the 24-25 season. Probably one of their most I'd say, winning record guys, for Kent State. As Coach Moore inherited a little bit of an empty cupboard, bringing 9 guys from Cleveland State over to help fill it.
Scramble continues here with not much advancement from either guy. But it's, again, from McCrone, a lot of calmness right here. And for Colello, it's just trying to find that chink in the armor in that situation to advance his position. But now it's McCrone looking for that. Well, didn't quite have the cradle. He had the leg throw over.
McCrone's one of those guys, he doesn't want him to get behind him because once he throws in the legs and starts working, that riding time will start to accumulate real fast.
Yes, indeed. He's trying to crack Colello down to a hip here, and the referee going to call for a stalemate. Not a lot of advancement from either guy. McCrone had a shot right off the whistle, and then a fake shot here. Oh, a good redirect. And now he's got some angle. Colello, to his credit, does not give up on the scramble position, and now everything's bound up. And again, these are the spots when, to a youth wrestler, to a high school wrestler, to a lot of them, you see this position and you say, okay, how are we moving from here? How am I going to go from where I am right now to a score? Well, in a college level room, and now we've got the danger count going on. There's one. This is the second count. And there's the third danger count. So that's going to be a takedown for McCrone. That's how you can turn that from a position where there's not a lot of movement going on. Expose those shoulders just enough, and the college rule that doesn't exist in high school gives McCrone a takedown, and now he can go to work, but there's not much time left.
A lot of patience there, just to let that develop too, and that's guys and understand what they're up against every day when they walk in the practice room.
Second period, and neutral is chosen. Now McCrone in on a deep shot. Looks like he gained some confidence from finishing off that takedown. Colello trying his best to fend that off. Or maybe even turn it into his own point, trying to cut the corner here. Well, boy, that's just leverage. The length we talked about of McCrone, now he's going to score a takedown, and you can't quite tell from this angle. Now he does not have the far side cradle locked up. But he has such good mastery of his body that, in a situation like that for Colello, where it looked like he was the one trying to turn the corner and go behind, he didn't realize how close McCrone was to where he felt comfortable. He didn't have a lot of time to work from top in the first period after that takedown. Here he's got ages. And riding time clock over 50 seconds now.
He does such a great job of throwing in those legs and just utilizing his length to his advantage, and something, we talked about the difference between high school and college.
60 wins in his Ohio State career. Colello looking for his first win of the year. 21 college victories to his name. Both wrestlers redshirt juniors. McCrone from Willoughby, Ohio, went to Elyria High School, and Colello from New Jersey.
New Jersey's produced some good wrestlers.
Garden State produces some pretty good wrestlers. No doubt about that.
I think Coach Moore will probably tap into that resource as he makes his return back from his first stint there as a recruiting coordinator. Probably did a great job of recruiting, and probably excited to get back there and get things rolling again for the program.
McCrone put the saddle on there in the second period. He's got a 6-0 lead as we go to the third. He's got choice of position. He'll go underneath. Looking for. And now if you're Colello, listen, you're down 6-0. Maybe you've got something from top here that you feel comfortable with.
And let's face it, Kent State's ranked 61 coming in here against the number 2 Buckeyes. Coach Moore probably, you've coached before where you get that match card and you're kind of like, hey, what's a win? What's a win for us, And probably a decision in this match would be, I would say it'd be a win for them at 125.
One of the things in talking to Coach Moore about this matchup, you're on paper, it is a bit of a mismatch, but you have to take, to your point, the victories that you get. Improvement from some of these guys, and he's looking to build a program there at Kent State. You mentioned he was there for a long time as an assistant. McCrone looking for his reversal here. He's in pretty good. Well, he got that leg caught underneath. Colello holding on for dear life. Still in control here for the moment, so he's got that riding time down to 1:05. McCrone trying to switch those hips and step over. Almost has it, but not quite enough on the upper body pull there. And so riding time for the moment is broken. And again, we're in a spot where McCrone, he's so good feeling those roll situations, but he just hasn't been able to clear the legs so far against Colello here. But getting back to Coach Moore, this guy has been at Cleveland State for quite a while, trying to build that program, a program that was, there's the reversal. 2-point reversal for McCrone. He's got to ride this out to build that riding time point back up. Right now it's an 8-point margin. That's a major decision. But for Coach Moore trying to, Cleveland State had their program shut down. He was able to return to Kent State where they had some success when he was on staff there, and he certainly believes fully that he can build that program back to one that's putting guys in the national tournament, getting guys onto the podium at the national tournament, and being more than competitive in the MAC as well. As clock ticks down to 0, a very decisive and controlled victory for Brendan McCrone.
Not a match where I'd say Nico Colello feels terrible about it. Obviously, you never want to lose a match, but coming in here and, certainly didn't embarrass himself.
So far in the season from Solon, Ohio, he is one of those transfers from Cleveland State, taking on the Big Ten Freshman of the Week, Ben Davino, who has been a house of fire to start his Ohio State career.
Nick Molchek coming out of Solon High School. They've produced some wrestlers over the years.
Northwest Ohio, still to this day, one of the heat map areas for high school wrestling in America.
Yeah, not just Ohio, you're right. If you want to find some talent, that's the place to go find it.
Davino 10-0 on the year so far, in on a shot. Near the edge. Now, of course, in college wrestling, there's a lot more real estate. There's the takedown on the edge. Any body part within this cylinder, and so shows the referee that he wants to go optional start.
His career, he's 24-1, Davino. What a nice little addition on the Buckeye roster. It's already just loaded at these lower weights.
Well, this is a guy who basically last year had to wait his turn. And talking with Tom Ryan about him earlier this week, is Davino right back in on a shot and finishes in the middle of the mat. That experience last year for Davino, when he would have been a starter for a lot of teams in the Big Ten, but waited his turn. He got his matches in, as you talked about. He's got a lot of matches under his belt already, but it was an exercise in patience and learning for Davino, and it's one of those seasons last year. Now we could have some near-fall criteria. I don't think we got 2 swipes from the referee. No, we did. We get another takedown there. We didn't get any back points on it. That was a danger count. But when you have to wait your turn a little bit. It's an opportunity for you to really, learn and grow as a wrestler, but also learn what it means to be on the mat. When you don't get that opportunity, when somebody says, no, you can't go wrestle, it makes you appreciate when your time comes.
And he just didn't come out this year and say, I made the lineup. I mean, if you go through his matches, just even at Clarion, I mean, you're talking tech fall, decision. He gets into the duels. Tech fall. I mean, he's a tactician, as we just saw right there.
And there it is again, another takedown, and the lead is now up to 12-3. A takedown clinic here for Davino in the first period. Ranked now number 2 in the nation, Davino.
Yeah, you just don't get tech falls without being a tactician. You have to be good in about every phase of the game, especially
Absolutely.
on your feet.
The three-point takedown certainly helps, and I wonder, as we get maybe a couple more years of data on the three-point takedown, if they adjust the points required for bonus. First period comes to a close, and it's a big one for Davino. 4 takedowns.
Yeah, that was the one thing they didn't adjust. They adjusted the three-point. But if you get 3, you'd think it might bump up to 9 points, or at least make some adjustment. And that's something I'm sure the rules committee people much smarter than you and I will discuss.
Absolutely. Davino quickly escapes here in period number 2 after taking bottom to begin the second period. 10-point advantage here. And again, in a situation with a 3-point takedown, you're 2 takedowns away from a tech fall. So those things can come pretty quickly. Malchik trying to hold his ground there in the middle of the mat. 4-3 so far on the season. 42 wins in his college career, but right now he is dealing with a buzzsaw. Ben Davino scores another takedown. (16-3). There's the escape. Davino looking for one more. He's got plenty of time to work here. 1:05 to go in the second period.
1 minute remaining second period. 1 minute.
Looking for a re-attack off the shot of Malchik. He's got the attack. He's looking for the takedown. Has to bring his man back down to the mat to finish it. Malchik trying his level best to keep on his feet. If he goes down, the match is over. There's the takedown. There's the match. Tech fall. 19. And a tech fall for Ben Davino. A dominant win for the Ohio State 133-pounder.
That's what a 4-time state champ from Illinois looks like, apparently. This guy comes in here and just puts on a clinic here as we get the replay on that double leg. The motor of these Ohio State, like these lower weights, I mean, if you watch them, they just attack. Their filling out period is about 0.03 seconds, Ryan.
That's
I swear.
right.
It's like they fill.
Right now, it feels pretty good. He's actually, as we talked about there, on the mat wrestling with some of the smaller guys. He's not going to get out there with Nick Feldman anytime soon, but they can go with the 125s. This is probably not a guy you want to mess with. Jesse Mendez, number 1, back-to-back national champion, taking on Ishmael Ayub, Central Ohio native from Dublin Kaufman High School, who has had a lot of success wrestling in Columbus. Today, it's a tall task.
Ishmael did come off of 11 wins, 7 run at Nebraska, transfers into Kent State, like you said, Columbus native. So this is a match that he's got to be, kind of excited. If he's not excited about this match, there's no match that's going to excite him. Coming back to the hometown and wrestling number 1.
If you're a competitor, yes, you know who's across from you, but this is the kind of match you want.
No doubt. And if it doesn't, you got to better check his pulse.
Well, and to his credit, he's not back down. He has not given an inch. In on a couple of shots right away. Mendez was able to fight off the first, and look at that hip pressure. Welcome to the big time.
Yeah.
Feed him hips. And Mendez winds up with the takedown.
You think about those wind-up toys that you wind up the back of them, and then eventually they die down. Mendez doesn't have that wind-up on his back.
No, he's just plugged in all the time.
It's all the time. All the time.
Look at that battery charge. Another takedown.
He's a clinic. Any youth wrestler or high school wrestler here tonight or watching the broadcast here is going to see a clinic and takedowns.
Right into a half after the takedown, looking for exposure. Kept that leg hooked. Now he's got the fall. Freight train coming. Jesse Mendez has put people on notice for years. The notices keep being posted.
Watching his matches this year, he looks like a man on a mission. For Ishmael, that's, you know what? We've been talking about this. You can't find that in your wrestling room anywhere. You're not going to find it. You know.
No, and you know these are the matches. Obviously, we talked about for Ayub. You want this match. You want to get out there. You want to use it as a measuring stick to see where am I right now. Because this is the guy that I'm wrestling. That's where I want to be. So you got a taste of it. And again, just on that second shot, the hip pressure that Jesse Mendez applied there. This is a 141-pound weight class. Now, nobody weighs 141 pounds right now as they're wrestling. In native, 5 of 6 wins this year for Shaw have been by fall.
Pennsylvania also a hotbed, producing a ton of talent. 6-1 as a freshman, like you said, coming into this match.
This is the weight class that's going to be manned most of the year by Ethan Stiles, but a little bit dinged up coming out of national duel. So, again, over the course of a season, especially in the case of Ohio State wrestling through the Big Ten, if there are breathers to be had, boy, what a finish there from Shaw after the whistle, certainly, but an impressive lift nonetheless in the room. And so you utilize it. You know, we see it all the time. Oftentimes in duels, you're probably not going to see your full 1 through 10 all the time. And so for the Buckeyes, that's the case tonight with Shaw getting in there.
Yeah, Maddox got a chance to compete in the duels against Wyoming. Came out with a major decision win, and so he's certainly no slouch. I mean, heck, he went in, and you know that they can win matches for you. They get experience. That's how you just keep from rebuilding.
That's exactly right.
You reload.
You get these under the light matches in a situation like this, whether you're trying to compete for a starting spot or whether the starter just needs a rest for whatever reason, injury or just fatigue or managing workload, whatever the case may be. You get your experience, you get your opportunities, and then if inevitable injuries happen, because nobody goes through an entire season unscathed, you've got somebody ready to fill in.
We think about other sports that, similar. I mean, it's similar situations like hockey where you got goalies. You have a backup goalie you can throw in there, give your starter a break, and that backup can win you a game, and it takes the load off that starter. And, that's when it comes down to it. If there's an injury or something comes up, or when that guy becomes your starter, he's got that kind of experience, and there's just nothing like it. It's smart.
Well, for both of these guys here, for Nate Roth, an opportunity to wrestle here at the Covelli Center in front of a big crowd, in front of Ohio State fans. And for Maddox Shaw, it's an opportunity to show his coaching staff and his teammates exactly what he can do.
Nate Roth from Greater Latrobe. Some good wrestling going on over there. Great tournaments. Go over to Kent State in the building program.
Not a lot of action after a flurry over the first 30 seconds. Not much in the way of setups from either guy. We've seen shots from distance. Re-attack there from Shaw. Most of the shots there in the first period just kind of wound up bound in the head and hands defense.
There, you have some college experience, but in wrestling now, here's a replay here of.
There was that first out of bounds takedown.
Yeah. Well, I'll say these guys actually get to wrestle in these open tournaments now.
Right.
So I'd say freshmen aren't necessarily freshmen in this sport in college.
Great escape there from Nate Roth right off the whistle, created separation and had that roll through to get the quick one. Yeah, with the rule changes for freshmen allowed to wrestle as many as 5 matches before you have to worry about burning a redshirt year. That's something that all college coaches, but certainly Tom Ryan, has taken advantage of. So this is one of his events. And again, there is a shot from distance. He was able to get to the leg of Roth, but didn't quite have it secured. For Roth here, showing quick feet.
Nice snap there. Filling it out. Roth not giving a whole lot, though.
No, both guys standing in the middle of the mat. Again, there's not been a whole lot of tie to set up to shot. Some level change and reaching, but nothing that's really come close to a takedown so far.
Probably one of Maddox's best matches, or I'd say most competitive matches, was against Daxton Chase at Clarion, his own teammate. The 2-1 match. It's kind of a cool opportunity to go over to an open tournament and square off against a guy in a legitimate setting like that. But definitely prepares these guys for this. I
Sure.
mean,
This is the first lead of the night for the Golden Flashes in match number 4. 1-0. Shaw will have choice of position when we go to the third period.
talk about points and how hard they are again to get against the Buckeyes. I think they lost 5 matches this past weekend.
Yeah, the top 5 weight classes went a combined 20-0 in their 4 duels. Second period comes to a close. We go to the final 2 minutes. Shaw has choice. And he's going to take bottom to try and knot this match up at 1 apiece. Corner imploring him to get down and get up very, very quickly.
Ross showing some spunk for this Kent State squad.
No doubt about it. But just as quickly as Roth escaped, maybe even more quickly, actually looking at the riding time out at 0-0-0, both wrestlers were credited with 3 seconds of riding time in their respective periods. So we're back to scratch. Riding time a non-factor, 1-1 match here in the third. And again, both wrestlers, they have not come off that Ohio logo for the most part. The entirety of the match, except for that first flurry where Shaw had that out-of-bounds finish for the takedown that wasn't. So neither wrestler giving any ground, but neither really able to take much. Finally, Shaw has taken some ground, has Roth back near the edge of the map, but quickly they circle back in. Down to a minute to go. Shaw in with a shot. Excellent change of direction. Roth, though, fends it off for the moment. And now to the scramble we go. Shaw has an ankle. Roth has an ankle. Who winds up on top? Now, if you're Roth here, you want a stalemate. If you're Shaw, you want to keep this thing inching and inching because he, for the moment, is in the better position. Head high. Roth coming close to that danger position. Rolling through once again. Now it's Roth with the high head. And nearing a takedown near the out-of-bounds line. And time called. Potentially dangerous. The referee on the spot. Looked like Shaw, we weren't able to see from this angle, might have had his knee bent awkwardly. So 26 ticks left on the clock. And it looks like the first takedown is going to win it. To win it in regulation.
To Ross' credit, no panic button right there. He just went straight to defense mode, hold on, live the fight here in the last 25 seconds.
Wrestlers locked up really for the first time all match long, looking like they just want to go forehead to forehead and finish off regulation and go to sudden victory here. Any point scored here in this 2-minute period ends the match. And again, 0 riding time for either wrestler.
Competitive freshman here. What a great experience for him to get in this situation. Home dual meet.
High elevation on that single leg. Roth trying to get to the out-of-bounds line where he can defend. Shaw trying to pull it in. He's got the ankle. Lost the ankle. Has not finished. They're still in bounds as long as Shaw has that foot in. He does not want to relinquish this hold on the leg. Roth trying to fight a wrist off.
A lot of time.
He's got them both. He's got the takedown. Maddox Shaw, after a lengthy, drawn-out battle where neither.
Right now, who has to wrestle Bo Bassett every day in practice. Unbelievable. But, Britt,
Cannon certainly put together, but he's got a lot of reach. Keegan Knapp, more stocky, powerfully built.
Cannon came into the Big Ten tournament last year as an 8 seed and finished second.
But there's that length.
Talk about a run.
Yes, indeed. He got very, very hot at the Big Tens. He's hot to start this match. Got with a low-level shot, used that reach advantage to pull the ankle in of Keegan Knapp and turned it into a takedown, and now we've got a stoppage with the headgear coming off for Brandon Cannon. But this is a guy that had health issues when he was in high school, didn't really have a lot of time and experience on the mat relative to most D1 recruits. And boy, has he made up for lost time in the Ohio State room. He's been fantastic.
Well, he's bought into the motor style wrestling. Yeah, he goes pretty hard and heavy.
Now, Knapp got to a shot, and he immediately wanted to go into his chain where he felt things cast his hips over. He knew he wasn't going to finish the takedown just with that straight-on shot. And so that was some high-level wrestling there, but Cannon was ready for it and was able to fend it off.
That's one of the things about these tall, lanky guys. You get in on them, you think you got it deep, and then they sprawl on you. You realize you don't have that length.
Nice cheer from the crowd here at the Covelli Center after they introduce Keegan Knapp.
PA.
Folks here from
PA giving some love, right?
Yes, indeed.
You got to figure there's probably a certain percentage of this crowd coming to see him.
You bet.
You got to give it some love.
You bet. Talked about Ishmael Ayoub earlier from Dublin Kaufman High School. Certainly they've got some friends and family in the building. And while they may normally root for the Buckeyes, you probably have some cheers going for the local kid as well.
Knapp in his senior year.
And on a shot, not able to finish, though. High motor athlete, Knapp.
1 minute remains in the period. 1 minute.
Cannon being a little reserved. Seems like he's a little more defensive than. Also, that was a pretty big weekend for these guys. I don't know.
You wonder how much a weekend like that takes out of a team, and now it's Cannon in on a shot again. Trying to finish things around. Knapp trying to make sure he's got wrist control, but Cannon able to sweep those legs underneath. There is a physical toll that an event such as that takes, but also there is a lot of mental energy expended over a weekend like that. Then you come back and you're taking on a team that's not highly ranked. This is really where you can see as a coaching staff who are the mentally toughest guys in the room. Everybody in there is mentally tough. You wouldn't be in a D1 wrestling room, wrestling for Ohio State or Kent State, if you weren't mentally tough. But just like at every other walk of life, there are degrees, right? There are the mentally tough, and then there's the upper echelon of that.
And Brandon Cannon didn't wrestle like some slouches this past weekend. In
case you were wondering.
Exactly.
On to the second period we go. 6-1, Cannon on top. Knapp to his feet quickly, but a roll through, and now right back underneath.
This last match, another Ohio native, Victor Voinovich from Iowa. He beat 14-2. But after that match, Iowa kind of went on a little, I think they went on a little run there.
Toward the back half of that duel, Iowa, they were not able to get back into it, but made their presence known. Knapp to his feet, quickly away now. It's his second point of the match. This match was one that I was certainly looking forward to because, again, both of these guys with upper-tier motors. Cannon always looking to score, and I remember watching Knapp wrestling in high school, tournaments here in Central Ohio, the state tournament, and always looking to score. Great low-level ankle pick from Cannon, and he's going to score near the out-of-bounds line. His third takedown, 9-2.
Well, Knapp, he was a 500 wrestler last year as a junior. Gets Coach Moore, over here to Kent State, and certainly probably is going to enjoy his senior year. Get maybe a little revitalization here for his senior year.
Automatic escape issued there. Cannon Let Knapp start on his feet, gives up the escape point, but right back on the attack.
Does Cannon's ranking at 5 surprise you after the weekend that he had?
Well, I mean, it rose significantly. He beat the number 1 kid in the nation, but he also has he's got a loss on the season so far. And those rankings, they're great when you're near the top, but otherwise you just kind of let it play out and let the matches happen as they do. But, for Cannon, this is a guy that he continues to grow. Right, wrestling here today at 157 pounds. There was some talk early before the season. Would he be up at 165? So again, you don't know exactly where he's going to settle in on his weight, trying to roll through a tilt here. Knapp trying to fight that hip down, but he can't do it. As time expires, 1 count but not 2. So 12-3 will be the score as we go into the third period. Cannon's choice, he'll go down. I'm sure he will tell you, and Coach Ryan will tell you, and Coach Jaggers and everybody else down there in that corner. Wrestle the matches in front of you. The rankings will take care of themselves. And if you're the last guy with your hand raised at the end of the season, I'm sure you don't care what your ranking was going into that tournament.
Exactly. No doubt about that.
Knapp throws a leg in right off the whistle here to begin the third period. 9-point advantage for Cannon. Good hip in there. Drop Knapp down to his hip.
That last turn, a little reversal. Looks like you're going to get the points.
Yeah, Cannon felt that little bit of hip separation after he was able to fight the hands, and Knapp, he also felt the reversal coming and made sure he didn't give up any back points. And now into an awkward scramble that turns into a takedown for Cannon.
Looks like Cannon's looks like some other styles of wrestling come in place at times. Like that tilt right before the second looks like a freestyle type tilt.
Quick escape and a quick takedown given here. Now Cannon trying to push the pace and get to tech fall territory. 13-point advantage. And just under a minute to go here. There's the escape. One more takedown will be a tech fall. Stall call on Knapp, not going to matter. Takedown near the out-of-bounds line. Cannon puts the pedal to the metal here in the third period and turns it into a tech fall. Another 5 points on the board for the Buckeyes.
Probably not the homecoming that Knapp was looking for in the front of his hometown crowd, but you're wrestling a guy that just kind of demolished the number 1 guy in the country. So live to fight another day.
So that puts a cap on the first half. We'll have an intermission here at the Covelli Center. The Buckeyes are rolling over the Golden Flashes here in the first half, 23-0. We'll go at 165 pounds for Kent State. He is a redshirt freshman, 5-1 on the season so far from Barnesville, Ohio. And he is taking on Patty Gallagher, Chesterland, Ohio native from Lakewood St. Ed's. And we begin the second half here at the 165-pound weight class. Buckeyes looking to keep the shutout going. Kent State Golden Flash is trying to get on the board.
Patty's a 2-time state champ, but almost more impressive was the fact that he's a 4-year letterman at St. Ed's, which is crazy. But
cracking that lineup as a freshman is no mean feat. Gallagher trying to hold center here. Patty's always been, the talent certainly is there. He's been beset throughout his career by injuries. Gallagher, a redshirt senior. If he can stay healthy, make it through the season. We talked earlier about at 125 pounds where they've gone back and forth between Macron and Bazakis. Both of those guys getting some time. They're also getting some rest. Sometimes you wonder when a guy's had a lot of injuries. If we get into the back half of this Buckeyes lineup, there's a lot of that. This guy, the next guy, Carson Hartzler, he's had more than his share of injuries. Luke Geog will not be in the lineup tonight at 197 pounds, currently injured. And so sometimes you have to protect guys from themselves.
Well, yeah, when you have the riches of depth, sometimes that could hurt you in the wrestling room where none of these Bulldogs are going to back down from
That's
one
right.
another. Yeah, you might have to, I'm sure Coach has to skillfully go through his practice plan to make sure that some days they're not as much live action.
There's a shot from distance for Gallagher. Gets to both legs. And a clean finish for the takedown. 3-0 Gallagher on top here in the first period. Just over a minute to go. We've not seen the Buckeyes, outside of really McCrone in the second period of his match, do a lot of riding. It's been mostly neutral wrestling, and Gallagher will go that same route.
I think with the value of that of the takedown, going from 2 to 3, just the emphasis of wrestling on your feet. Another thing I noticed about the Ohio State is where their positioning is on the mat. Like, they don't really care where they're at. Like, some coaches want you to have your heels towards the edge of the mat. These guys are aggressive, so that changes things a little bit as well. But, all those little rule nuances almost feels like it changes the strategies a little bit.
Well, we just saw there Patty Gallagher taking ground, was able to induce a stall call against Steven.
Seemed like in the duels, I bet you the stall calls, it was almost like 4-1. Like, this Ohio State team just goes at you. They almost force you into stalls.
And that's something, obviously, you want to emphasize, certainly be in the attack position, take ground. Gallagher trying to take some ground here near the edge. And, again, wants to finish inbounds. Time expires before any takedown is awarded. But also there is a reputational gain when you are on the attack. I mean, how many years has Iowa gotten the better of stalling calls because of the Iowa attack style and the home crowd at duels, of course, times a year
right,
that it buys you a call, but those are 5 valuable points.
No doubt. I would say for Reese Stephen going into the second period down 3-1 might be a win for Coach Moore.
Quick hip heist and sit out from Gallagher. Gallagher earns an escape point.
In that final against Iowa, Patty Gallagher wrestles number 2 Calindo and lost it in overtime. Actually gave up the first takedown of the match. I think Coach Ryan made him walk back to Columbus. Because giving up a takedown to the number 2 guy in the country.
Well, listen, you look at Patty's record over his Ohio State career, 53-27. It doesn't jump off the page. But this is a guy who is right there with the top-tier wrestlers, and now in on a shot. Steven trying to get a takedown of his own and possibly tie this match up. Gallagher doesn't lose a lot of matches that make you shake your head. He still is just trying to take that last quarter step to consistently win them. If you're at Ohio State or any of the other of the Big Ten schools, when you're talking about conference duels, Big Ten tournament, open tournaments with other Big Ten teams, there's an athletic move from Patty Gallagher, not able to finish the takedown as of yet. And they're out of bounds.
Didn't want to give up on it, though, did he?
No, he did not. And they're actually going to award a stall point there for Steven moving off the mat. So that's his second stall warning. So Gallagher not awarded with the takedown, but does get the benefit of his forward motion with a stall point. And that's the difference between the Big Ten and most other conferences. There are other good conferences certainly in the country, but you're talking about the top 2 or 3 teams really being at that top tier level, whereas in the Big Ten, there are no softies.
No. Look at the duels. Look who's all finished up in the top portion. I think going into the weekend, eight Big Ten teams are ranked in the top 20. That's definitely a meat grinder there. But Reese, let's talk about Reese. Redshirt freshman, transferred from Cleveland State. Could be a nice little cornerstone wrestler here, for Kent State moving forward. Especially getting great, matches like this. We talk about the prep for the MAC. Not that the MAC is any slouch, but certainly not a lot of Patty Gallaghers roaming around the MAC.
Gets his escape, 5-2 score. Still a takedown difference match. So I think to your point, Steven has been hit for a couple of stall calls here, but he is game for this match. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Going in the third period with a minute and a half left, and you're at take. You got these matches are the best competition to get you ready for your MAC. I mean, that's all there's to it. I've said it, we said it before, but this is great right here for Reese Stephen.
He's wrestling now with Gallagher with his heels on the outside. Tried to shoot him off the match, but Patty dug in his heels.
30 seconds remain. 30 seconds.
30 seconds left in period number 3. 5-3 match. Gallagher on top. Takedown, escape, and a stall point. Couple of escapes for Steven. And we expected Carson Miller to go here. Redshirt junior, a little bit banged up, so he's not in the lineup today for Kent State.
Yeah, Reese Steven bumped up.
Yep.
Bumped up.
He's given up some size here, no doubt. So certainly he's acquitted himself well. But down to just under 5 seconds left on the against Steven. And 3 more team points for the Buckeyes, 26-0. After a 5-2 win for Patty Gallagher at 165 pounds. And Patty wrestled well in the first period. Looked like just kind of leveled off there a little bit as the match wore on.
I would count that as a win if I'm Coach Moore. Not necessarily, you don't want to go on these moral victories. I know you always hear about that, but there is a real sense of you went out there and wrestled a great match.
I think Reese Steven managed that match properly, put himself in a position a couple of times where if things went a little bit better, maybe he's able to secure the takedown. You hate to give up the stallings, right? You want to make sure that you're not giving ground, but you also have to understand, again, where things are right now. And for Steven, again, that's nothing to hang. 5, he is a grad student as well, 4-1 on the year from Powell, Ohio. Wrestled at Olentangy Liberty High School.
Steubenville, Big Red, they've produced some talent.
Indeed.
The Ohio Valley always. There's no cable TV out that way. So it hasn't hit out that way yet. So all you got to do is wrestle. You got to wrestle in the Valley.
Got to wrestle hard. Harshla 4-1 on the year, 70 wins in his NCAA career. And again, the guy got to a low single there. Nicely done. Good level change. He's dealt with injuries throughout his career. Trying to finish this final season of competition healthy. And up on the podium is an All-American. Gets a
strong as an ox.
Powerfully built young man.
Man.
1 point escape to Ferguson of Kent State.
He's really tough to score on. He hasn't been in his college career prolific offensively, but just so good positionally. He's a brick wall to try and get through, to try and get an angle on him. Very, very tough. He can scramble.
Also lost to number 2 Kennedy from Iowa in that last dual meet that he last time out in sudden victory.
And we talked about this with Gallagher. The 21 losses in his NCAA career, you're all against top competition.
Sure.
Harshla with another takedown here in the first period, up 6-1. Get hit for stalling again, finally does base up. And once he does, Harshla likes to cut him free with just over 45 seconds to go in the first period. 6-2 match.
I remember as a young man visiting, I was visiting Heidelberg, and I'm like watching it. They have this wrestling tournament going on, and they said, there's this Russian guy, Miron. He wrestles for Findlay. And I'm like, who? How is there a Russian in Findlay, Ohio? Who is this man? And honestly, him coming here probably has changed a lot of styles. Just bringing that style of wrestling.
Been a big part of town. Finishes the period on top with a 9-2 lead and 1 minute 11 seconds of riding time as we go to period number 2. Ferguson has choice of position. He'll go underneath and try and get himself another point here. And for Harshla, just period. Didn't take a lot of chances. An economy of movement has always kind of been one of his hallmarks. See him getting ready to get on top. We talked about the power of Harshla. Just broad-chested, broad shoulders. Very much what you think of about a wrestler's build.
Well, you'll see him. He's the type of guy that will shoot straight on. He'll go right at you. It doesn't work from sides like some people. That's because he's just a bulldog. He's strong. Most people don't want to, at these heavier weights, don't want to get under somebody. They want to work from the sides more.
Another takedown, 12-3. Archula feels like he can get to his shots and get takedowns pretty much whenever he wants to. Not concerned with building up any more riding time.
If you watch him, he hand fights a lot too. And the thing is, you see the other guy will have the grip, and he actually uses his grip to his disadvantage on the
drop down level change, almost a peek out situation there. And as Ferguson will lay flat on the mat to keep him there. And again for Ferguson, he's been warned for stalling. He's going to have to stay active here. There's been more of an emphasis in college wrestling. We might get a stalemate call there. For the top man, not just to ride, but to work for turns. You know, for many, many years.
Yeah, I think it's hard. I think it's hard when you have the riding time. You know, you're telling them, hey, you're going to get rewarded for riding, but we also need you to work.
Right.
I think Carson was just eager to get back on the mat. You know, that was such a tough loss last time out against Kennedy, where he wrestled a pretty solid match, and I'm sure this week he was excited to get back out here and redeem himself.
Well, and in all likelihood,
times.
Yep. Start to the third period. Archula on bottom. Doesn't want to stay there very long. He's got plenty of riding time. Still 1:50. It's not locked in yet, but it ticked down to 147 before the escape, but he's got a 12-point lead here, so a takedown becomes a tech fall.
As you mentioned, this matchup, pulling Aaron Ferguson against Carson was kind of pre-match. It's not necessarily who we had in the match card going into it, so it's interesting. Coach Moore may have seen something where he wanted to get Aaron this kind of experience, for some reason or another.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to adjust on the fly if guys aren't feeling their best. And
sure.
Archula in on a shot here, trying to finish near the out-of-bounds line. He will, and that is the tech fall. 5 more points for the Buckeyes. 31-0, our dual meet score.
Home wrestling for the Buckeyes. Certainly has the opportunity here to maybe put a little more icing on the cake.
At this point, there's more icing than cake, I think, as Ohio State has dominated from the word go. Fishback right off the whistle, trying to take some ground here.
Fishback is one of those heavyweights that will shoot. I mean, he not afraid. A lot of times you see guys hand fight at these higher weight classes and armbar and Russian bars. No, not Fishback. He's aggressive on the feet, buddy.
Quick takedown for 3. Wrestling here at 184 pounds. Of course, Rocco Welch transferred from Ohio State. So that created an opening here. Fishback, when he was in high school, guy we'll see coming up, Seth Shoemate, Camden McDaniel, these are all guys that were basically at the same weight class, wrestling at the same time, and spread out throughout the country. Another takedown for Fishback. He's back in the fold with the Ohio State Buckeyes, a place where he was very interested in coming out of high school before going to NC State ultimately. Buckeyes after the national duels, their team ranking went up to number 2. And individually, Luke Geog not wrestling today, but pretty much everybody ranked in the top 10. And so you're talking about a team that, if you're Kent State, they're on the schedule. You knew before the national duels that it was going to be an uphill climb, and then you see the way the weekend went, and you think, okay, boys, this is going to be a tough task. Only going on about, okay, what do I see here? What do I do in that situation? How do I get better as a wrestler? you've talked about it several times. That MAC schedule is coming up, and you've got guys in front of you. Another takedown there for Fishback, his third of the first period with a minute to go. There are opportunities, whether you're on the mat or observing teammates and opponents, to continue your wrestling development.
Yeah, just the difference in the recruiting right now. You know, Coach Moore understands, you know, there's only so many X's and O's. You got to get the Johnnies and Joes. And right now on this mat in itself, you know, you're looking at Ohio State with a two-time Ohio State, you know, champion versus a state qualifier. And, you know, and nothing against – nothing against Trent Thomas, but a state qualifier is a little different than a state champ. And that's just recruiting, you know, and that's going to happen because, you know, Coach Moore has proven to be a recruiter.
He certainly has, and when I spoke to him earlier this week, that was one of the things that he talked about, that coming to Kent State, the program had not been competing at a high level. The recruits in the room, and he, you know, basically said when I got there, you know, we had to talk to some people about what the standard's going to be here. And some people meet it, some people don't. And, you know, when you're talking about high-level college wrestling, Kent State, a D1 program, first period comes to a close here, 9-2, Fishback dominating. You either have to meet the standard or you got to find someplace else to be, because Josh Morey is going to recruit people to come in and try and fill those. And, you know, I said, what are the right recruits for a Kent State? And, you know, the first thing you mentioned, you got to have guys that can do well in the classroom. But when you're not one of those top 10, top 15 programs in the nation, you've got to try and find those diamonds in the rough. Those guys that have more to them, maybe a late developer.
Sure.
A guy that maybe didn't hit a growth spurt until late in high school and didn't have the kind of national accolades, but you can see the potential that you can develop in a guy.
And there's not to say someone like Trent Thomas right here is not a wrestler that couldn't develop in, you know.
Certainly.
You know, there's certainly guys that peak at different times. And
now, he's a sophomore, Thomas.
Yeah.
He's 5-2. So far, the way he has moved, you know, you look at the body type, broad shoulders, he's long and lean, he's got some length to him. Fends off the reshot attempt there from Fishback. So there is some potential to be developed. Fishback, a shot from distance, able to close that distance, get to a leg. Now switches to the opposite leg to finish off, step over, and he drove a shoulder right into the gut there of Thomas as well, and comes away with a takedown.
Fishback just coming off. He's one of those guys that came off a loss to Ferrari. Number 3 wrestler from Iowa, lost 4-1. I mean, like, we're talking these guys. I know they lost a couple matches to Iowa, but if you look how close those losses, each one of those matches were, they almost could have. I mean, they were at a peak situation where they could have really put Iowa away.
There are margins that are so slim. When you talk about, we got exposure here from Fishback. He's going to get the full complement, and if he gets all 4, it is indeed the full 4 back points, and that's a tech fall. 17
more recruits. That just gives Trent Thomas somebody to train with.
Yes.
I mean, there's not a time where you can't see someone that's really good at a weight class and you don't see the weight class.
A minefield for trying to build confidence in terms of wins for Kent State. But again, looking at the match within the match and building confidence with some small victories is something they're going to have to try and take away from this evening.
Blake Schaefer, 6'5".
Yeah, he is a lot of dude in terms of length.
It's a different kind of guy to wrestle. You know, we talk about the lankiness.
And Shoemate, 197-pounder. Shoemate is not a tall 197 at all. He's very stocky, very powerfully built, good upper body for Shoemate. He's always had throws in his arsenal.
Oh, yeah, he'll get an underhook. He'll get to the single. It's got a great motor. I mean, just kind of.
An underhook now with head position. Almost had a body lock there. Now for Shoemate, they try to do a little upper body. Out of bounds they go. I think for Seth, the target word for him so far in his college career is inconsistency. Right there in several matches with some of the top guys in the country. But on a consistent match-to-match basis, putting it together, that's been an area where he's got to show more growth. He and Luke Giog both getting some time at 197 pounds this year. Geog ranked in the top 15, but dealing with an injury right now, and not really sure how long that's going to affect him. But, how many times have we mentioned throughout the course of this duel for the Ohio State Buckeyes, when you've got the depth that they have, Seth Shoemate battling with Geog for this spot would be the unquestioned starter on the vast majority of D1 college teams.
No doubt. And you look at Blake Schaefer, he's got 2 wins this year. Really don't have the same kind of match experience going into this match either. Obviously, Virginia, and they had Division III Mount Union. So this is their real, true deep end. Virginia pretty good, but certainly not Ohio State.
For Shoemate, this is a match where you get an opportunity to figure out some tactics against a very unusual body style. You can kind of figure out, as the season goes along, and I wrestle another guy that's got a reach advantage of 8 inches on me. How do I close that distance? How do I get to the place where I want to be to get to my offense? When you're down on the mat, how do you handle legs of that length?
Yeah, it's certainly different. I'm sure you wrestled. You wrestle different body types. I know I always struggled.
This was the worst for me.
Yeah, same. I'm right with you. I can watch a guy wrestle and say, this guy's just not a good wrestler, but I know he's going to give me fits because of the length and the reach. And, it's a style thing. You always go back and you can see this guy beat this guy, but this guy beat this guy. And it's like moves and styles and body types, they all matter.
Wrestler from Pitt from a long time ago, Nick Mangerick, was a guy that, he gave a lot of people fits. He gave me more than fits. He gave me a lot of stretched muscles and separated shoulders and things of that nature, but that was exactly that type of wrestler. You just wonder, how in the world is this guy in my weight class when he's 8 inches taller than me?
Exactly. Generally on top is where those guys get you too. But
great first move there from Shoemate. Didn't settle for one, turned it into a reversal.
Yeah, I think that's where, you teach a guy that's 6'5" to throw in the legs and use that length, and just never had time to even do anything.
And at times that can be easier said than done because it takes longer to move a limb like that from the side to throwing a leg in. But yes,
I don't know. I've never had that experience
with that body type. If you can get the leg in, you're in really good shape. And there, you see the length of Schaefer on a reattack, but you see the strength there and the superior technique and experience of Shoemate. Didn't quite get the takedown. Shoemate looking to the corner, thinking, "Hey, we may want to take a look at." Was able to kind of create some separation. We'll see if we can check the replay here. This is the initial lift to out of bounds. And you see there are points inbounds over the cylinder as they go down to the mat there. And they're going to confirm that no call. And again, you're talking about really splitting hairs. Live, I thought Shoemate had the takedown. Referees got a second look and said there's nothing there that changed their minds from what they saw live, so 2-1 Shoemate on top here. Under a minute to go in period number 2. Shoemate nearly ankle kicked up into a single leg there. And, after a call that didn't go his way, what the coaching staff, I think, for Ohio State wants to see here from Shoemate is forget about it. Go on to the next thing. Go get the takedown that you thought you should have had. Don't waste even a moment wallowing on that. Just get right back to the task at hand.
Yeah, I'm sure some people are like, why throw a brick? You're up 36-0, but it's not about the team score in that situation. You're trying to put your wrestler, Seth Shoemate in a position, even in a match, it's 2-1.
Well, you want him rewarded for taking the right actions.
Exactly.
To the third period we go. Schaefer starts on bottom and will have an opportunity to try and tie this match quickly to his feet. And just sort of a tertiary effort there from Shoemate to keep him down once he got to his feet. The escape was basically given, and they'll wrestle tied here into the third period. Riding time a non-factor.
I have a feeling Blake Schaefer's going to give a lot of people problems.
Shoemate dropped to a shot, very nearly had it, but a quick turn of the hips from Schaefer. Shoemate with a good adjustment there. Gets the takedown, no back points on that, but he's up by 3. Boy, both guys had some good moments there in that exchange. Shoemate comes away with the points, but Schaefer, you're just
the thing. If he gets buy-in from Coach Moore, I mean that's a guy that Coach Moore's going to be counting on maybe getting some MAC points. And I think that's what's important. The stress on Blake Schaefer is like you're the beginning of the new era. Even though you're on your way out the door.
He's had a couple of spots, a couple of moments in this match where what I talked about earlier with the lack of confidence overall. That were there a bit more belief in the moment, I think he might have had a better shot at scoring.
I think technique-wise, just learning how to, like you said, learn how to use that 6'5" body. He could have probably put Seth Shoemate in a little difficult situation, but Seth Shoemate comes from the other side of the street of confidence and poise because of the room he's in and the coaching staff that he's been involved with, and certainly showing in this match right here with 10 seconds left.
Well, Schaefer trying to finish with a flurry. Shoemate just trying to hold his ground and fend off these last few. He's going to get hit with stalling. Non-factor so far, and there's the end of the match. 5-3 the final.
What that outcome could have been, but you hope for an upset, maybe that worst case scenario, a decision.
Yeah, I think stylistically that was a very tough matchup for Shoemate. 39-0. The black bandana there trying to make sure that any kind of rubs or cuts. Well, he gets right to it with a low-level shot and a quick takedown from the jump for Feldman. Off to the races, a 3-1 win after a quick escape by Semmerman. Semmerman from Morrow, Ohio, wrestled at Little Miami.
He was out here an hour before the match. And you can see he was just getting a little sweat going, getting a workout, from Ohio, coming into the big show here.
He is a big heavyweight, very tall. Feldman, not a big heavyweight, but excellent lateral quickness. It's a great job with level changes and penetration. And now into the hand fight. Heavy hands.
Well, Semmerman has a lot of different background. He won a Greco-Roman state title, finished second in freestyle wrestling. A lighter guy. He wrestled 190 at one point, in the state tournament here in Ohio. So those guys that have those different style of backgrounds, especially in these upper weights where, Greco-Romans, all the upper body stuff could come in very handy. Especially when you wrestle a guy like Feldman who has so much in his arsenal.
Feldman took a shot there, winds up on his back momentarily, was able to roll through. Well, that's, we have that height advantage and some leverage for Semmerman.
Talk about freestyle. That would have been a pin.
Well, the shot there from Feldman, if he watches the film, and I'm sure he's going to say, there's not a lot of setup right there to it. There's that level change. Just drops to the side. High elevation on that single leg. He's got both legs, but now down to the mat. We'll get him the takedown. Stalemate the call.
Brendan Semmerman, he's 19-13 last year, as a freshman. He's a bright spot. It's always nice to have come into a program that has a heavyweight with a little experience and, anchor down the back end of the match for you.
We talked about Blake Schaefer, maybe not quite understanding how to use his body quite yet. It looks like Zimmerman's got a pretty good body awareness. Well, sometimes your body awareness isn't going to fend off a level change and shot like that.
Yeah.
He just had too much lean, and boy, a great job by Feldman to take advantage, feeling that pressure, and then you just take the table leg away, and it turns into a quick takedown.
Yeah, Ryan, I also don't think people can fully appreciate the resources a Power 5 school has when it comes to strength conditioning and all the technology and the food stations for athletes only, and Kent State I'm sure has nice resources, but and when it comes down to inches like that, where it's like that's where those.
He talks about his ability as a wrestler certainly, but he talks about the way he lives his life. And wanting to go about things the right way. He wants to, has had designs since he was in early grade school of being a Navy SEAL.
That's something special.
And, if you even entertain that as a goal in your life, and you hold yourself to a pretty high standard.
Yeah, that Bud's training is not something that not a lot of people sign up to be in that.
Not
Navy
on purpose.
SEAL. Yeah, not the Navy SEAL training. It's a little different.
Minute 15 to go here in period number 2. Stall call and a shot and a takedown for Feldman. And as that takedown was completed, for Zimmerman, looks like maybe some of the starch coming out of his stocks a little bit.
Well, I think he knew this was going to be a marathon and not a sprint, but it's one thing knowing it and then being in it.
Yeah. 10-point match now, 13-3. Feldman trying to finish this off. And continues that forward pressure, and that's going to result in another stall call as they go out of bounds. Second stall call against Zimmerman, so a point for Feldman. Now up 14-3. And a head tap and a level change and a takedown. 17-3, one more takedown will finish things off if Feldman can get it here before the period expires. Hooks the leg, there it is.
Yep. Too big, too strong, too mean, Ryan. He's got it all, and he's on a mission.
Indeed he was. 20-4, the final score of the match. And the Ohio State Buckeyes